Hey YouTube, how's it going? Let me adjust this a little bit. Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and this is actually a knife video. It's not so much a review, and the reason I'm not going to do a review of this blade that I want to talk about today is because everyone and their dog has a review about it. So instead, I think I'm going to talk about why that is. Why is it that everyone feels the need to make a video about this knife, even me, and why does every review that you see talk about how great it is, and why does every review that you see talk about it being one of their top 5 or top 10 favorite EDC knives? Why is it in every video that relates to the top EDCs under $100 or over $100 or whatever? All of these videos seem to contain one knife in common, and that is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. And I'll get a good close-up for you there. You can see I've been doing some cutting with it. That DLC coating is a little bit marked, not coming off at all or anything like that. But there's the knife, and I can't imagine you not having seen it before, but just in case you haven't, there's a good look. There it is closed. And so I want to talk about what it is about this blade that makes everyone go, I can't believe how awesome it is. Because guess what? I'm a convert. You know, once I got a hold of this knife and started using it, I'm just like, this is a really amazing blade. Totally perfect. This is a Mary Poppins blade. I don't know if you ever heard of this is a Mary Poppins whatever. Mary Poppins said she was practically perfect in every way. Well, this is a Mary Poppins knife, practically perfect in every way. It's incredible how this knife just gets an A+ in so many categories. And so I want to talk about some of the things that I suggest make everyone love this knife. And so if you're wondering about whether or not to buy it, yeah, buy it. It's fantastic. Now, you know, you may need a little bit of patience because I know it's a little bit tough to find right now. A.G. Russell, by the way, does seem to have some, but they're listed. If you look at the picture, it says Paramilitary instead of Paramilitary 2, but you look at the picture and you go, oh, that's a Para 2. And so I actually called them, and I heard one other YouTuber did the same thing, and that's how I got mine. And so maybe they've got a few more that you'd be able to pick up that way. Now, let's get into what I said I was going to talk about, which is why everyone seems to think this is such a great blade. And I'm going to start with usability. And what I mean by that is it's ergonomic, it's very convenient and comfortable to carry, and it's very versatile. It doesn't matter what you want to do with your knife, whether it be skinning out an animal, preparing food like cutting up fruit and vegetables for a stir fry, cutting up wood for a bonfire, opening a package, opening your mail, pulling out a splinter. I mean, this knife can virtually do anything that you'd want to do with a folding knife, and not just get by, but do it well. And that's, I think, one of the main factors about this knife. If you say, Kevin, you can only have one knife in your pocket, you know, there's a couple knives I may pick over this one, but this would be so close to the top of the list. And I would probably have to admit that from a practical standpoint, it should be at the top of the list. There are some knives, you know, if I know I only have one knife, I don't want the biggest one possible. So I'm probably going to go for a Recon 1 just because of the sheer size and toughness of it. But here's the thing. Most everything that this can do, this can also do. And it's a smaller, lighter package, and it's better blade, so it's going to hold an edge longer. You know, just an outstanding knife, and stacks up really well against most anything you could think to compare it to. And so that's the first thing, is just the overall versatility of the blade. Now let's get into some of the specifics, size and weight. When you buy a pocket knife, you're concerned about how much it weighs. At least most people are, especially if you're carrying other stuff, or if you're backpacking or biking or riding in a car, or anything where comfort and convenience is important. Plus, we all have other stuff to carry. You got to carry a cell phone, you've got to carry your keys, you've got to carry your wallet. Now you're adding a knife to the mix. If you're into gear, you might be carrying a flashlight, you might be carrying any number of things, right? And so you don't want a knife that's gigantic. Now, even having said that, You guys know, and I've said it before, I love carrying larger knives. I EDC this knife all the time, CRKT Fossil. Great big knife. Not a whole lot bigger when it's down, closed than this, but much bigger when it's open and much heavier, okay? I do EDC this quite often. Great big knife, much bigger in every dimension, right? Weight, size, whatever you want to measure, it's bigger. And I do EDC it. So I'm not someone who's obsessed with size, but what I'm going to tell you is this is a very convenient size and shape in your pocket. So that makes it really, really nice. For that small size and small weight, under 4 ounces, you're still getting a nice big blade. As you know, I definitely like bigger knives, and if it's too small, I'm just not interested. And I love this knife. So I'm a guy who prefers large knives, and I like this knife. So if that's your concern, I don't think it needs to be a concern at all. This is a great knife. Even though it's a little smaller than some, it's more than sufficient in size. Next thing is the materials. This is not just a value folder, right? If you are interested in a value folder, buy, frankly, buy a Chinese import, buy an Enlin or a Senran Mu and carry that thing around. If you're interested in a high-end folding knife, this is hard to beat. You've got S30V steel, you've got not just G10 scales, but extremely well done G10 scales. You've got screws and locks and everything that fits well, that goes where it belongs. You've got recessed liners that are also milled out. I'll see if I can show you that. I know this isn't a review, but just to, there's a quality here of materials. And by the way, I'm going to just kind of let these two flow together, and a fit and finish that is exceptional. Lockup is great. Deployment is great. Jimping is in all the right places, and it's just grippy enough. Ergonomics and grippiness is fantastic. The lanyard hole is big, and it's got a steel tube in there. Everything that some companies sometimes miss is just nailed when it comes to the Para 2. And I'm going to make a general statement here. I know some of you will have different experiences, but my experience with Spyderco blades has been fantastic. Even when I was in Bass Pro and I bothered the guy behind the knife counter and made him pull out a bunch of blades for me to check out, and he probably wanted to pull his hair, but I pulled out all the Spydercos, and they were all outstanding. When you get a Spyderco in your hand, even the cheaper ones, you get this impression of quality, of precision, of tightness. And what I mean tight is like tight tolerances, highly controlled, very well put together. Then you add creativity and style. Spydercos definitely have a distinctive look. There's no question about it. This one is not as bad, right? It's not like this is a Sage or a Centafonte or a Worker or a Stretch. By the way, some of those are great knives. I don't hate them all, but I just say they have this really distinctive Spyderco look. And if you're not crazy about that look, you're not going to like it. And you may not like this. The Spyder hole does make it look a little bit different. Of course, the previous generation of this knife had kind of a different look to it, right? But this knife, I'm going to say, looks pretty cool. People who see it, even non-knife people, are going to say, yeah, that's a pretty cool looking blade. And certainly as a knife person myself, who kind of likes Spydercos anyway, I think this knife looks really great. I think Sal and Eric Glesser have a pretty good style. And there are some, I'll admit, that I'm not crazy about. The Sage knives, I know they're super popular. They do nothing for me. Even some of the Endura, I'm not a fan of the Endura or the Police. I think they just look they're like pencil knives. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but I want to say that I think with the Paramilitary 2, in any iteration, whether you've got orange or blue or green or Digicam, whether you got black or satin or whatever, all of them are pretty cool looking blades. And I think they've definitely got that cool factor and that pride of ownership that goes with a blade in your pocket. That's pretty awesome. And then the last thing, of course, is price. These guys are extremely reasonably priced. They're you know, 120 bucks or so. Now, right now they're hard to get, so the price is up, but that's not going to be forever. I can't imagine Spyderco limiting production on a blade that they're selling so many of, and that's making them a lot of money. These things are hard to get right now because they're so stinking popular. I got an email from Blade HQ, not about this model, but about a different model, and I'd say I was away. So I probably checked my email 5 or 6 hours later. They were gone already. That ought to tell you how popular they are. And it's no wonder. You know, this is just a fantastic folding knife. And so that's the purpose of this video, to let you know why I think everyone loves this blade. It's just that when you start putting things together, when you start considering size and weight and the materials and the fit and finish and the creativity and style, the convenience, the ergonomics, the versatility, the price, all these things come together, and you know, it just gets an A or an A+ in every one of those categories. Now, I'm not saying that this is the best knife ever made. Not at all. And certainly I'm not saying that in any given category, is it the best gentleman's folder? Is it the best wilderness survival knife? Is it the best tactical knife? No. But it can do all of those things reasonably well. And so because of that, I think this is a great blade. If you are at all in the market for a knife, or even if you have a knife and you just go, yeah, I'd like something a little better, that's a little bit of a step up. This is not, you know, a super high-end, mega expensive blade, but boy is it cool, and boy does it function well. And I've just been impressed. Everything I've tried to do with this knife, I've been impressed with it and thought, wow, it does that well. And so that's why I'm suggesting to you the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 is so popular. As I often do, I'll finish this video, even though it's not a review, with kind of a close-up on the blade. And I'll remind you again that I am going to annotate a couple of real reviews that go into all the details about the materials and the sizes and the weights and all that stuff in the comment section of this. There's a couple that I particularly like and that that motivated me to want this blade. So there you go. That's the Paramilitary 2. That's why I think it's so popular. And frankly, I feel like it deserves to be as popular as it is. Talk to you later, YouTube.